Last of Us Part 2. So, after playing it for 25 hours, I like this game. I think the story is good, and a lot of people disagree, and it's understandable why. It's not a perfect game. Many of the story choices the writers made are difficult to swallow, and the out-of-context leaks didn't give the nuance and respect the story deserved. However, the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video were a list of complaints I've seen scrolling through Twitter and Reddit now that the game is out and people are playing it. Disclaimer, this video is purely my own opinion. I don't expect anyone to have to share my opinion on these topics that we're going to talk about. I just think a lot of ways that people are criticizing the game are frankly kind of silly, and there's a lot more reasonable criticisms that could be made about the game. So I just wanted to go through all these different complaints and try to debunk them. Choo choo! All aboard the train of stupidity. Let's go on our first stop. Bigotry. Can you spell bigotry? God, what's the other letter? I don't know what the other letter is. It's SJW shit. The first complaint I want to tackle is from the good old anti-SJW crowd, claiming it has an agenda to push because of the company's political views. Namely, its diverse cast of characters featuring men and women of different races, sexual orientation, body type, gender identity. It caused a lot of people to feel very insecure about themselves, and thankfully there are other criticisms about this game, but I just wanted to get this one out of the way because their bigotry knows no bounds. So if you do actually hate this game because, oh, big woman attacked my picture of manliness Joel, fuck off. Please, just fuck off and die and go away forever because you're ruining the entire culture of video games, and I'd really just rather you go away because you suck and I hate you. So, bye-bye. Go to 4chan. It's okay. No, bye. It's okay. I think they're gone. Okay. Joel's death was disrespectful to the character. Joel's death was disrespectful. Yes, I completely agree, but he deserved it. I know this is a controversial take, but I really think that depending on how you feel about Joel really determines whether you'll enjoy this game or not. Joel is a bad person, and the first game showed that he will pick the selfish, violent option every time. After he lost his daughter, he learned to love again through his adventures with Ellie. The world of The Last of Us works on the ideas of tribalism. People only care about themselves and the people around them. Joel is the same way. In the first game, we see that he is willing to turn on those willing to do good in the world to make himself happier. In this game, we see the repercussions of his actions. Joel's death was disrespectful to the person who disrespectfully killed tens of soldiers to disrespectfully destroy the world's second chance. I've also seen many people compare this death to how Lee Everett's death was handled in Season 1 of Telltale's The Walking Dead, so let's actually compare the two and see where the difference lies. Lee Everett, depending on your choices, kills less than 10 people, and that's including the murder he commits before the game starts and the 4 bandits who attack the motel and will force a game over if they aren't killed. Joel has had a past of murdering many people outside of the reason of just self-defense, as explained by Tommy and Joel when they discuss the years following Joel's daughter's death.
This is how you gonna repay me, huh?
Repay you?
For all those goddamn years I took care of us.
Took care? That's what you call it? I got nothing but nightmares from those years.
You survived because of me.
It wasn't worth it.
But since we don't know their body counts beforehand, we do know that throughout the game, Joel kills upwards of 100 people at least, and at least 30 of those people are Firefly soldiers who he kills out of pure selfishness to save Ellie. Which, as opposed to Lee sacrificing himself to save Clementine, is like taking the case of a man diving in front of a bullet in order to save someone and comparing them to a fucking terrorist. Lee Everett was flawed for many reasons, but is inconsistent due to the variety of character choices the player can make. However, the reason why he died, and people find it so satisfying, is that he sacrificed himself to save Clementine. No matter what character choices you made as Lee, you are always given a satisfying ending because it feels as if you are atoning for your sins as a player if you chose the more violent options, or you feel good that your death isn't in vain if you chose more peaceful options. And Joel, instead of dying in a blaze of glory, dies under the weight of the choices he made. Is it satisfying? No. Does it have to be? No. Because it makes sense that the choices he made didn't just occur in a vacuum. Joel made his bed, he had to lay in it. Joel was far too trusting of Abby. I've seen this complaint in tandem with evidence from the original game, so Take a look. In The Last of Us 1, while on their way into Pittsburgh, Joel runs over a survivor because he sees through his act of being injured, and therefore that shows how they dumbed down his character in the sequel. When in fact, the reason why he saw through the act is much more contextual than just simple distrust. After Ellie asks how he knew the ambush would happen, he tells her that he has been through both sides of that attack before.
How did you know
Know what?
about the ambush?
I've been on both sides.
Oh,
The people who say this complaint also happen to omit the fact that Joel finds trust in Henry and Sam while on the run from the hunters in Pittsburgh. This is relatively the same scenario in which Joel finds trust in Abby when they meet. He saves her life, she repays the favor by helping them escape as well. She suggests they go back to where her friends are hiding out, and Joel knows it's a safe place to outrun the horde.
Tommy, we cannot stay here!
The horses ain't making it all that
My
way.
friends are at a mansion just north of here. It's fenced in, we have the whole perimeter secure.
It's a Baldwin, please. I can work.
And even as they arrive, they are still being seen chased by the horde. Joel had zero choice to trust in these people, and he believed they deserved his trust because they saved him and his brother. Any other, but Joel could have done X thing, aren't looking from Joel's perspective. He had no choice but to put faith in the people who saved him. Abby sucks. She's a one-dimensional character. Abby may not be as complex as Ellie due to us spending 1.5 games with her, but Abby is very far from a one-dimensional character. The essence of a one-dimensional character is someone who has only one purpose in the plot, never develops, and they never have their own ambitions or motivations past what is necessary for the plot. Abby has many purposes in the plot. She is meant to be the inciting incident for the game, give an inside look at the WLF, allow the player to gain sympathy for her motivations and feel the consequences of killing her friends as Ellie. Abby also develops heavily throughout the game, from a WLF foot soldier to being a free-thinking savior to atone for her sins as an instrument of revenge. And after losing nearly everyone she cared about, she realizes that she has to protect the people she loves instead of avenging the people that she lost. She also has her own motivations totally separate from Ellie's entire journey in the first half of the game, which can be considered a critique, but personally I felt enjoyment out of learning more about the WLF and the Seraphites. But regardless, by the popular understanding of what a one-dimensional character is, Abby does not fit the bill. She has many purposes to exist in the plot, she has a fully developed character arc, and she has her own motivations and ambitions separate from being the game's antagonist. There are also little things like her fear of heights and her coin collecting hobby that add little nuances to her character that are also interesting to note. Abby is not a perfectly written character, but very, very far from being a one-dimensional character. Abby and her motivations for killing Joel are a retcon. To recap, the reason why Abby kills Joel is because he killed the surgeon who was planning on sacrificing Ellie to make the vaccine. The surgeon in this game is revealed to be Abby's father. This is, to some stupid people, considered to be a retcon, but this is completely incorrect. A retcon, by popular interpretation, is changing previous information to make sense of later narrative decisions. There was no established backstory for this surgeon to contradict between this game and the last game. Also, the first game was written nearly a decade ago. Did you really expect them to give the surgeon a backstory to be the inciting incident for a secondary protagonist in the unplanned for sequel? Because that's ridiculous. Abby's father was meant to teach a lesson to the players to show that there are consequences to your actions and that the players you kill have relationships and backgrounds that you probably don't know about. It isn't a retcon, it's placing Joel's actions from the first game into a new context. They made Abby the protagonist and Ellie the antagonist. I've seen this sentiment being said that while Abby is supposedly the worst person, the writers humanize her and pushes the players to feel sympathy for her, as if that's a bad thing, and Ellie is vilified due to her quest for revenge. Once again, this misses the entire point of the story they were trying to tell. Ellie and Abby do most of their immoral shit out of the context of survival. Ellie only kills out of self-defense against the WLF, who sent an order to kill all trespassers, and the Seraphites, who are hostile to anyone regardless of being a trespasser or WLF. The only times she has legitimately regretted her actions were those of collateral or intentional damage that directly relate to her quest for revenge, like the murders of Nora, Owen, and Mel. Abby was also only defending herself against the Seraphites and eventually the WLF because they conflict with her quest to try and protect Yara and Lev. And the only time she has done immoral shit, like killing Joel, she pays for by losing her closest friends. In the world of The Last of Us, there are no good or bad people, there are just people attempting to survive. Okay, last but certainly not least, why did Ellie let Abby go? If it wasn't painfully obvious what the game is trying to tell you already, the game is about the cost of revenge and the cycle of violence that perpetuates the losses to those involved. Let's start this discussion by breaking down this cycle that we see in the narrative. First, Joel kills Abby's father, Abby kills Joel, Ellie kills Abby's friends, and it only stops when Ellie finally stops herself from killing Abby in the final mission of the game. The final boss fight encapsulates the large amount of criticism that the game is trying to say about the price of revenge and the cycle of violence that brought these two characters to where they are. Abby has lost everyone she knew except for Lev. Ellie, having lost Joel, her only father figure, Dina, the love of her life, Jesse, a dear friend, and Tommy, who is changed into the spiteful shell of a man we see near the end of the game, Ellie and Abby did this to each other. Ellie breaks the cycle by sparing Abby's life. If she didn't, the cycle would have continued. Lev would have hunted down Ellie, and Ellie's friends would have hunted down Lev. Down and down, continuing the losses forever. But Ellie stopped it. At least temporarily, the violence would end. People who say that this game's ending would have been better completely miss the message and instead want to focus on the indulgence of revenge. They want to see Abby die because all they care about is their heroic character Joel and avenging him. In many ways, this feels like the backlash of The Last Jedi. When Rian Johnson was asked why Rey's parents were revealed to be no one special, he likened it to the I am your father reveal in The Empire Strikes Back. He felt like it would be the hardest thing for not only Rey, but the audience to hear in that moment. Ellie letting Abby go is difficult for her and the player, but it was the only way for Ellie to stop the cycle from continuing, and that is what makes her decision devastating. If you really think that the ending would have been better with Ellie killing Abby, please, I urge you to consume more media and understand that not all stories have to be indulgent to make a point and still be considered good stories. Now, as much as it may seem like I am a Neil Cuckman dick writer, I did actually have problems with this game and its story. And I do want to get into that, but before I do, I think we should address the way the game was marketed, since I think, while I don't share the exact sentiment, I agree that the marketing for this game could have been handled much better. When the reveal trailer dropped, many people had deduced that the reason why Ellie was so out for revenge was that someone had killed Joel. And I think that to step away from that, they used marketing tactics to trick the audience into thinking that Dina was going to die instead of Joel, and that they, meaning Joel and Ellie, would try to avenge her throughout the course of the game. They did this by giving Ellie Dina's bracelet, switching out character models, and most infamously, changing the person who saves Ellie in Seattle to be Jesse and not Joel, as it is shown in the trailer. Now again, while I don't share the same sentiment that the company lied, I understand that it can feel less like a plot twist and more like a gotcha moment, making players feel stupid and disappointed rather than surprised. Now, moving on, this game isn't perfect. And even though I think it has many strong areas, I believe it could have been done much better in others. Level design is fantastic for the combat arenas, but outside of those environments, the game suffers in not really telling you where to go in certain points. Pacing-wise, this game struggles in certain areas. The first open world environment when you're exploring the area on the first day of Seattle was so much better handled in Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy that it feels embarrassingly linear, with short branching paths that lead relatively nowhere besides a small character moment between Dina and Ellie in the guitar store. The rest was forgettable and dull. Speaking of forgettable, did Jesse just die and then no one cared? Like, we just all forgot that Jesse died. Just gone. He's gone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Jesse. Everyone say bye-bye. Really? Abby's half of the game is slightly too long, and the fact that we spent nearly 4 hours in a boss fight to get materials for Yara, who dies less than an hour later, feels frustrating. I understand the point was to be able to bond with Lev, but I feel like they could have cut out all that and then shortened it into traveling to the Seraphite Island instead. This would have allowed for bonding time with both Lev and Yara, and shortening Abby's campaign significantly, and not having to lose the interesting conflict between the Seraphites and the WLF on the third day. Speaking of, I think it's important we delve into the character of Lev. I love Lev. I think his relationship between him and Abby are by far my favorite interactions in the game. Especially after their experiences on the island, I feel like they have this kind of warm relationship that I missed from the original game. But Lev's trans identity is something I question. The fact of the matter is that Lev's trans identity is intrinsically linked to his character, and while I love his interactions with Abby, his arc is incredibly predictable and generic, with his background of him being excommunicated due to his coming out, the enemies constantly berating and dead-naming him, the conflict of him coming out to his mother and having to kill her was painfully obvious, and I just wish there would have been something more to his character. However, the biggest problem I have with this game, and more specifically with its story, is surprisingly the fact that this game really only has one theme. Listen, I may have praised this game for its representation of the cost of revenge and the cycle of violence, but that is literally all this game has to say. And it hammers in the point constantly through its 25-hour runtime. Everything about this game feeds into the singular theme about revenge. Even the conflict between the WLF and the Seraphites is seeped in the theme so much that it becomes almost annoyingly obvious what the game is trying to say, which makes it even more impressive that people don't understand the reason for why Ellie spared Abby in the ending. While writing this, I talked with many people on Twitter who didn't like the game the way it was written, and I came to the conclusion that while many people can decide if a game is right for them, some people just can't criticize a story well without major personal biases getting in the way. I'm the same. My own personal experiences and biases have definitely shaped the opinion I have on this game. That's just the nature of critique. So to leave you with one final thought, play the game. If you don't like it, that's totally fair. But don't just parrot someone else's opinion. Find your own voice. Be your own critic. Thank you for watching. Hi, my name is Sharpies, also known as Beckett. You just watched my video on The Last of Us Part 2, and I just wanted to say, again, thank you for watching. If you liked my video, please share it. It would go a long way. I really want to do more of these videos. Please comment about what you thought, actually. I really want to know your guys' opinions. Tell me I'm wrong, please. I want to know about, like, what you guys think, because I genuinely want to have a discussion, and even though I might come off as pretentious, I really want to know what you guys are thinking, and because this is such a hot button issue. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please share, please like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.